First, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming out. I know we all live busy lives. We're always running. I want to thank all the MannKind employees for all the hard work over the last year. I mean, literally, it was a year ago I was standing here, not even a month into the job, and just recovering from the death of our man and rebuilding the company, getting the product back. And if you'd asked me a year later where we would be as a fully integrated, thriving company, moving in the right direction, I think a lot of us would be skeptical whether or not the company would have survived, just given where things were. But in the end, we are here. We've transitioned the product. We've manufactured it multiple times. We've got our own wholesale distribution network. We got our own entire sales force. Everything we've been building just takes time. And you guys, I know, have been on this roller coaster over the last year with us. I myself joined you in the journey when I bought my own shares last year and share in your pain. And so we're fully aware of everything that's been happening. When I think about this company, I was walking in this morning and I saw this building was built in 2008, so a little less than 10 years ago. Al Mann, as a true entrepreneur, had a vision to put a factory here in the middle of Connecticut, right, and build his own plant as opposed to outsourcing to somewhere else. He bet big time on this company to succeed and help people living with diabetes. One of the things I want to talk about today are true entrepreneurs who joined us. So we're going to showcase some of the work we're doing, and we don't always hear out in the conference calls or really get a feel for it. We brought everybody here today to talk about what's going on in the diabetes world, what is MannKind doing, and how are we approaching the market differently. I think it's really important to not do the traditional pharma things. We don't have hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So you got to think smarter, think differently, and try to piece together a different network and a different way to go out to the market and get to the masses, but also do it in a cost-effective way, but in a way that really makes impact. And I think a lot of what we do in pharma is very conservative and not progressive around helping patients live with their disease and transforming how they manage their disease. And this is such an epidemic here in the US and the rest of the world that we really are here to help patients get to goal. We really do believe using insulin earlier in your life is going to help you get your outcomes and manage a long, healthy life. And so some of the partners we partner with, you'll hear from today, share that common belief. And I think that's what you're going to start to see as we go out in Q3 and beyond. So joining us today, I'll just, as I call their names, they can come up. Damon Dash, come on up, Damon. So Damon, for those of you who don't know him, is a burst of energy. You sit down, relax. So Damon, he's a movie producer, music producer, a ball of energy out there. You walk out with him, everyone's stopping to take your picture in Chicago. It's a great time. LA, he's just a powerhouse in the community, and really has really helped us think about how to approach the world a little bit differently with Afrezza, and hear some of what he's doing today. And so Damon, thank you for joining us. And before I progress, the one thing I do want to say is all the people you're about to meet, the only expense we paid was their travel. They volunteered their time to be here with you today and share with what they're doing in the diabetes community and how we're working together. So I also want to disclose that. The next person I'm going to invite up is Charles. Charles Maddox, come on up. So Charles is a celebrity chef, nephew of Bob Marley. He's been on Oprah. Really is building this discovery show Reverse, so we'll hear a little bit about that today. The next person we'll invite up is Jeff. So Jeff is the CEO of OneDrop, former founder and co-founder and CEO of Razorfish, which was sold for $1 billion years ago, and took a break, and you'll hear his story in a minute, but also true entrepreneur, really building a unique company out there. And finally, I want to invite Felice. Felice, come on up. Felice is a nurse educator. Nurse educator down in New Orleans, worked at the Ochsner Center. Also will be featured on the TV show, and recently started Afrezza, but you'll hear a little bit of her story as well, and I think it's important to share. So with that, Damon, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you roll.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me? First off, thanks everyone for coming through. My name is Damon Dash. I'm diabetic, type 1. Actually, everyone on this panel today is diabetic, and I wanted everyone to get a good look at what diabetics look like. We're very cool, And what I find is any conscious diabetic has to have a certain discipline. He becomes a mover and shaker, a go-getter. Everyone I know that is aware that they're diabetic and takes care of it, they do things above and beyond taking care of themselves. They also like to take care of other people. And everyone on this panel is doing something along those lines. And we all find it very important to bring consciousness to how cool being diabetic is and controlling it. So I'd like everyone to introduce themselves one by one, and if you can, tell me exactly what you're doing with diabetes and why you're here today. Let's start with you. Hold on, I'm sorry. Ladies first. All right.
My name is Felice Guimond. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a registered nurse and a certified diabetes educator. I obtained my credential to be certified in 2013. I hope that more people work to obtain that credential, because what it does is it gives you an ability to really go into depth with diabetes education, which is something we're in dire need of. I've been a nurse for over 25 years. I am a type 1 diabetic who's been living with diabetes for over 43 years. I'm going on 54 years old, and I'm very happy to tell my age because I feel like I was given the disease in order to model to other people that you can have a great life with diabetes. I'm also a professional singer. I do documentaries with Charles and with other filmmakers. I'm published in Diabetes Forecast magazine. I sang the national anthem at the ADA national meeting. So obviously, I'm very passionate about it. I lost a sibling to diabetes when I was 1 month old. He was 2 and not diagnosed. So I think that fuels my impetus to be very proactive. My outcomes have been great. And I want people to know when I'm finished with this existence here that I did everything in my power to help people with this controllable illness. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for all of you for creating an inhalable insulin for somebody who's taken, it has to be millions of injections in a lifetime. So I'm very happy to be here.
Jeff?
I'm Jeffrey Dotchis, and I'm the founder and CEO of a diabetes management solution called One Drop, which we'll talk about a little later. I'm also a type 1 diabetic. And as an entrepreneur, I've been involved in a lot of different things, and the last thing I ever wanted to get into was healthcare. I mean, why would you enter into this business? But when I was diagnosed, I got about 6 minutes with a nurse practitioner, an insulin pen, a prescription, and a pat on the back, and I was out the door. That was healthcare to me. The first time I entered into the healthcare system, that was the health and the care that I got. And it pissed me off. And I started thinking to myself, if this is what you get when you go into the system, what is everybody else, the 30 million Americans that have diabetes, the 60 million Europeans that have diabetes, the 200 million Chinese people that have diabetes, the 500 million people with prediabetes or undiagnosed diabetes, what are they going to do? And the experience was so disempowering to me. It made me feel helpless. It left me scared and very afraid for my family. And I wondered what I was going to do. And so I started thinking about maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's a way to empower people with their own data and their own information, to create connected sensors, mobile computing, and big data to transform the way an individual thinks and feels and cares for themselves with diabetes. And that's why we created One Drop. And so we've been in business a little while now. We're super excited to be partnering with MannKind on Afrezza, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I'm very grateful for the opportunity to get up here and share our story, and also to thank all of you for getting involved in this, because this company is producing a product that is literally going to revolutionize the way we help people empower themselves with diabetes. And that's what Afrezza is about. So anyway, thanks.
I'm Charles Maddox. I'm a celebrity chef, award-winning filmmaker and director, also a type 2 diabetic. And his story is very similar to mine. I knew nothing about diabetes. I was, doing my whole celebrity chef thing, going to the gym. I was one of those guys, had all the big arms and a little bit of tummy, that look. And
I got that look.
Yeah. And went to a doctor. It was just over the weekend, and he basically said I had type 2 diabetes and wanted to put me on some medication, and that was it. I walked out of there literally in fear, thinking I was going to die, because as a black male, not knowing about something about type 2 diabetes at all, it was shocking to me. And so I really went home and kind of just had to look in the mirror and kind of figure out, what I was going to do for myself. And it had to start, number one, in that physical mirror. And at that point, like I said, I was a celebrity chef, and I wanted to utilize that platform to really not only educate myself, but other people, right? I felt like that I could do something to save other people with this condition, because if I, who thought I was somewhat educated, didn't know anything about type 2 diabetes, can you imagine the average person or what the public is going through? So at that point, I started to direct a documentary called The Diabetic You, which comes out probably in about August, that it literally has taken me around the world. So from India to the islands, I've explored what diabetes is. And while opening those doors, there were a lot of doors to open, and once you see those doors open, at times you're not very happy at what you see, right? So not only from a pharmaceutical side, maybe from a healthcare side, from a food side, it really is going to be a film that is going to touch many people and open many eyes. But I wanted to be one of the biggest things in diabetes. Why? Because I realized that if I was a force in diabetes, then I could help reach more people, and that the projects would do even more. I created the first ever diabetes RV tour by seeing the big red bus, and I wondered, why isn't there someone or a bus or an RV in Walmart parking lots and going around and testing people? Then once you test people, now you can get them on the medication, now you can put them in the right direction. So I did that with Shire and Edelman. But while I was on that tour, I realized I wasn't really reaching people, right? So while we were on television every day and reaching, people through that forum, I realized when I saw people that came to the bus or the RV, they were uneducated. So I came up with this concept to create a reality program, right? Because where are people with diabetes? They're sitting at home. A lot of people are sitting at home, right? And the best way to reach them is by right in their homes, right? We all love cooking shows. Obviously, me as a celebrity chef, but if we can get one tip from a cooking show, it may add to our food rapport. So a lot of these people just need one or two little tips to change their life. Thank you to Mike, because Mike Costanza, because in this space, and Dave could attest, not everybody believes or understands your dream. So going out here and trying to sell this idea, which the show is going to be an unbelievable show. It's beautifully done. Is not an easy sell. So we're very excited about that. It airs this summer on Discovery. And I think that, just from meeting Felice, and now she's on the product, and I think that, the exposure is going to do tremendous things for Frezza and for MannKind. So I'm excited to be here, and I think we're making history. So.
So I do have a story to tell, and I like to talk, and I love to talk about myself. But right now, what I'd like to do is showcase the things that they're doing, that all these great people, these great diabetics are doing to showcase the lifestyle of being a diabetic. And what I think is very important is we're all diabetic. And a lot of times you're taught about diabetes from people that aren't diabetic, and you don't really get a colorful picture of what's really going on. So what I'd like to do is showcase what you were just speaking about. Can we do that? I'd like to show the trailer to his documentary, and we'll get right to that, and then we'll see what Jeff is doing.
Diabetes is a complex condition.
Diabetes is something that can be controlled.
I don't remember when the last time it was that I felt so good.
Tonight I'm going to just step out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm tired of feeling this way.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't want the best for these people.
I feel like I'm being treated different.
Yeah, but you're not,
because
and you're not freaking handicapped.
So our thing is somewhat to cater to the millennials and give visuals. So we'll be making a lot of content that relates to diabetes. That was great. Is there anything you want to talk about as it relates to this, or what we just saw?
You know, I think what we did here, I kind of took what worked from different shows, what didn't work from different shows. I wanted this to really be a journey. It's a really loving approach to working with people with diabetes, and Felice can tell you that too as well. So I think we have some longevity, you know.
What exactly is it? It's a docuseries?
It's a docuseries. We take 5 people and bring them into a home. And we bring in diabetes educators, nutritionists, dietitians, yoga, meditation. It's really about, you know, a lot of people think that it's about reversing diabetes. It's not at all. It's about reversing the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional state of the person, right, and working on the behavior. Because, you know, we can give people medication, but if as a type 2 diabetic, we get depressed and our sugars fluctuate. I mean, Felice's was just fluctuating right now. And you know, unless we really work with people and allow them to see that they have hope, allow them to see that life is worth fighting for, and that this condition can be managed, and that there are great options such as Afrezza out here for them.
Nice. Okay, so moving on. Jeff, you're doing some impactful things, and I think you have something that represents that.
Sure.
Would you like to introduce
the video first? Or? Yeah. This is just a promo video for some of the things that OneDrop is working on right now, and then I'll describe it as soon as it's finished.
Cool. Without further ado, OneDrop.
So, thank you. Usually we just drop the mic right there and walk off the stage. That's all that normally happens.
That was good music.
What we produce is a wireless blood glucose monitoring system. It comes in this sort of diabadass kit. And it links into your mobile phone. And then we analyze all of that data in the cloud, and we provide actionable insights back to the user based on their fitness, their insulin or medications, all of the food that they eat, and of course their blood glucose. We also have a mini social network inside of there where you can share all of your data with other people. And I think, you know, you may think that sounds strange, but as everybody here knows, you know, diabetes is such a lonely, lonely disease. Even those who have it, or those that are close to those who have it, you know, don't really know what's going on. All the math that goes on inside your head all day long. And so by having other people you can see in a diabetes social network, you can really learn how other people manage crises or how other people celebrate success, and you can give positive affirmation. We also provide news, education, and information, and polls and things like that in a news feed. And it's just an interesting and I think wildly successful diabetes management solution. We've done a bunch of clinical studies and delivered proven efficacy. So we are proven to deliver a single percentage point drop in A1C in 12 weeks with just our app. With our app plus our diabetes coaching in the app, a 1% drop in A1C in 4 weeks. And if you play that out a little further, it's a 1.5% drop in A1C with our app and the coaching and the glucose meter in 7 weeks. And so we're driving massive clinical efficacy at a very low price point, but cost per unit of health outcome in the market compared to many other products that are out there. But one of the things that we're missing, and by the way, we are a direct-to-consumer play. We sell direct to consumers. We don't have doctors prescribing our product. You can't buy our product at the pharmacy. You get unlimited test strips delivered direct to your door. plus unlimited coaching in the app for $33 a month.
And to put that in proper text, one strip for me was $1 per strip, and we're testing our blood before, 7 to 10 times a day. And if you don't have any money, you're stuck. So that's a great thing.
So diabetes health is really driven off understanding what your diabetes data says. And since strips are expensive, you're not getting any of the diabetes data because you can't afford to test. So we made it ridiculously affordable to test. $33 a month, unlimited test strips delivered direct to your door, and a certified diabetes educator coach dedicated to you in the app, 247-365. No insurance, no prescriptions, no appointments, and no hassles. And that's what we started talking about doing. So I just want to make sure,
quick question from a diabetic's point of view. Yeah. So we order this, and because what happens with me sometimes is, depending on what I'm eating or a holiday, I need more or less Afrezza, because I'm an Afrezza user, and it's very successful, by the way. So what happens if you run out of your box or your script? You finish your Afrezza early. Can you?
Yeah, so I'll just say conceptually.
Real quick, the quick version.
The quick version is conceptually, it's a single purchase, it's a single price for the amount of insulin you need, whatever that is.
But
as much insulin as you need each month, you're going to get it for a single flat subscription price. And that's just conceptual, so I just want to say there's nothing inked on that already. But the idea is hassle-free diabetes care as a service. This is diabetes as a service. It's not selling piece parts. It's not selling, fragmented aspects of diabetes care. It's integrating it all into one system, diabetes as a service, a single low monthly fee. And I think, for a lot of folks who have high deductible plans or who are sucked into massive copays each year, getting the insulin they need, getting the test strips they need, glucose monitoring, data, social network, access to a certified diabetes educator, all in one package for a single low monthly price, to me is super exciting and revolutionary in the diabetes industry. And so I can see this partnership really expanding to revolutionize the way diabetes care is delivered today, and we're super excited about it. Nice. We're also talking about a Bluetooth connected custom inhalable durable. So the plastic parts that get shipped out with every single Afrezza sub or prescription today, you could both save on the environmental costs associated with all that plastic that's getting produced with all those prescriptions, and then on top of that, have a durable Bluetooth inhaler that allows us to take that inhaler data and transfer it into the app and help coaches really see what people are using and when they're using it.
So it would tell you how much you're using?
It'll tell you right in the app how much you're using.
Exactly. Keep track of how much you need.
Keep track of everything, exactly. And then the idea, again, is affordable, accessible, and clinically effective care. And that's really what's underpinning the relationship that we've been talking about with MannKind. So I couldn't be prouder to be here, and I couldn't be more excited about the possibilities for revolutionizing diabetes as we see it today.
And what I'd like to add as a consumer, I use the One Drop, and it's the best tester I've ever used. And he hasn't mentioned this, but I don't know if any diabetics in the house? No? So if you test your blood, sometimes you hit those strips and they don't, you don't give them enough blood and you waste a strip. And with this, the reason why it's called One Drop is a little drop and it works. Now that might not be a big deal to anyone that doesn't have to prick their fingers all day, but for us, that's a really big deal. Not to have to squeeze a whole lot of blood out of your finger or wherever else you're shooting to get it to work, because sometimes, you lose. So I love it. And also it looks really cool. It looks really cool. And I think that's there's good taste in what I just saw. The music was good. I'm a music guy. I know y'all think I'm a doctor, but I'm not, And the whole look of it looks really simple. So as a diabetic and as a user, that's been the best experience I've had. And, this guy comes, he has a 5.6, on his A1. And how long have you been diabetic?
3 years and change.
So he's been diabetic for 3 years and he's already made change. That's what diabetics do. So what I'd like to talk about now is my experience and why I'm here. So I've been diabetic since I was 15. I'm 46 now. And I've done a lot of things. I don't know if you know who Kanye West is or who Jay-Z is or Kevin Hart, but I put them all in business. I've been able to make their dreams come true before my own, and it's worked out, and it's touched pop culture. That's what I do. I make things famous. And throughout all of this, I've been diabetic all around the world, from 15 to 46, from the streets to the music. I also do fashion. I have a company, Rachel Roy, I don't know if you'll know that company. Rockwear, all those things. I've been all over the world diabetic. I've lost my insulin all over the world. I've had problems all over the world that's had to be fixed. I generally think I'm the coolest guy in the world, and I happen to be diabetic, so I think that diabetes is that cool. And when I started to use Afrezza, number one, I had to be really aggressive about asking for an innovation in diabetes. So what I've noticed in healthcare is, you know, you get your 15 minutes, and if your A1's a 9, which mine was, or 10, you know you're hurting yourself, peace, you're out. That's it. So you have to be proactive about asking about these innovations that you hear of. And when they finally offered me the Afrezza, I was like, no needles? How come I never heard of this? You know, this is an innovation. This is a big deal to any diabetic. This is like the internet. So I was like, give it here. I don't care what it is. I need to see that. And when I used it, I posted it up on Instagram. And Mike, who I didn't know at the time, got in touch with me the next day. I guess it went like diabetes viral. And what he was worried about was, listen, this went viral, but you're using it wrong. So he knocked on my door the next day and was there showing me exactly how to use it and understanding the method. He even gave me a consultant to understand how to use it, another super diabetic whose A1 is at like a 5 and mine is at a 10. But what happened was in like a month, even though I know it takes 3 months to get your reading, but you know, in a month it was showing that my A1 was a 7, like that. And in my whole life and everything I've ever done, I've never been at a 7. I've always been worried about my future. I've always been worried about my toes. Has anybody here had to worry about their toes before? Or their limbs? This is the concern of a diabetic. Being in control was always on my bucket list. It was something that I thought I was going to have to dramatically change my whole lifestyle. The only time I was ever able to get to a 7 is when I was paying a chef to count all my carbs and deliver my food anywhere I went. It wasn't sustainable and it cost too much. So other than that, I've always been a 10 and now I'm at a 7. So it's really important to me that this company works. It has to work because I'm not trying to go back to the needle. And I'm going to do anything I can. If I have any influence at all in anything, like if I can make someone famous for being funny like a Kevin Hart or a Jay-Z or a Kanye for rapping, I'm definitely making this famous because my life depends on it now. But also being a diabetic, it's not only you affect your family. You know, that's my wife, my girl right there, Raquel. She's not diabetic, but she is, because I am. So everything has to adjust for everybody when you're diabetic, the food you eat, everything. You know, just calling scripts, making sure your prescriptions are there, everything. So this is also taking a big burden off my girl because she feels the pain with me. She's worried with me. It's in her best interest that I'm here for a long period of time. And also, it's important that I look good. And we all, you know, you got to. You have to be influential. So if I can take any of my influence, anything, any of my experience, and anything that I've learned, what I've learned is that Afrezza works. But I've also been through this before because I had Jay-Z for a long time. I managed him, and I couldn't get him signed to any record company. No one would recognize his greatness. I had to do it myself. Same thing with Kanye West. Same thing with Kevin Hart. I put them all in movies that I, you know, funded myself and did independently, and it touched pop culture. And I never understood. I was like, how come no one is listening to Jay-Z? How come when I wanted to bring Kanye, they didn't want, like the rest of the people didn't want to sign him? I didn't get it. I had hit records, but no one recognized it. And I see the same exact potential in this because it works. This is a way bigger deal because it will save lives. And every single person knows, at least in the urban black community, everybody's father, uncle, or themselves is diabetic. There's always an uncle that lived in the room that had lost a leg that was a little crazy because he was diabetic. Always in the hood. There's always one guy like that. And I just think this will be major. I think bringing awareness to the fact that you don't have to take 10 needles a day, that you don't have to have your skin keloid up, because that's what happens when you take a shot in the same place every day. Your skin gets really big, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's so many different advantages to this, but it just really bugs me out that it hasn't been recognized yet. But I do believe, just like Jay-Z and just like Kanye and everyone else, it always gets dark before the dawn, like Batman. And I do believe that it has to work. It will work, and it will be bigger than anything, and it will change industry. But at the end of the day, it has to work because I need it. I don't care about anything else but the fact that I need it, and I'm gonna make sure that that you guys stay in business. Looks like it costs a lot to be here. So we're gonna get things popping. So, no, of course you can't. But when I'm finished. So, but you know, if you can say something, what you want to say? So what I wanted to bring attention to is the fact that Mike is very aggressive about being proactive and doing things that are different to make awareness to diabetes. And the only thing that is diabetes is cool. Cool people get it. Showcasing the lifestyle, showcasing the people. Most people that are diabetic for some reason are ashamed of it. How could I look this cool and be ashamed of anything? The thing to me is, if God deals you a certain hand, you gotta play it. And how cool you play it is what defines you. And that's what diabetes is, it's playing your hand the right way. And what I was able to do with talking with Mike was make content, basically a whole network that just brings awareness to the kind of people that are diabetic, the lifestyle, what comes with being diabetes, the people that are around you, and even the different ways to care. There's the needle, there's the pen, there's the pump. But for me, it's the Afrezza that works. But I'd like to see everybody's perspective, what works best for everybody. But you know, for me, it's the Afrezza. There's so many different rumors that you hear about diabetes. You know, you do this, you do that, whatever. There's so many different things that people don't understand. Every day, I learn something different about diabetes, and this with this network that we've created together, or that I've created, that's brought you, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to, sponsored by MannKind. That's what this channel is, the Dash Diabetes Network, and that's what I'd like to show right now is a little clip. There's a couple of shows. One's a cooking show. There's, you know, just talking, even bringing different doctors. Like, you know, I've had, every time I post something up on Instagram about diabetes, there's like 10 people that say, oh, you could kick diabetes from drinking roots and teas and your diet. And I'm like, I'm type 1. My pancreas doesn't even make insulin, period. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm always gonna need insulin. But I think people should understand that. They need to understand that what type 1 is and also type 2. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you some trailers of some stuff that I've been doing, the Dash Diabetes Network. It'll be available around July on every platform that there is a screen. So from Facebook to Twitter to Snapchat to Instagram to cable television to YouTube, to it having its own network. I'm gonna make sure that people understand that diabetes is very relevant and that there are a lot of cool diabetics out there that have nothing to be ashamed of. And there's a lot of different places that people need to understand, and that you should always be proud diabetic and proud that you're beating it and that it's fixable without such a compromise of quality of living, thanks to Afrezza. So I wanna thank everyone for believing in Afrezza, all the doctors that made it, and this is exactly what this is. Thank you for extending my life and making me feel better about my future. I appreciate it. And this is the, Dash Diabetes Network is just simply life is a dash. I think we're entitled to live, and I want every bit of living. I got type 1 diabetes. It's a lifestyle. And that's what this network is about, just showcasing that lifestyle. Showcasing imperfections, because no one's perfect. To me, imperfection is perfection.
20 plus years I didn't go to a doctor. 20 plus years I didn't test my blood sugar. I had no idea where I was at.
What I'm gonna do is I want y'all to come to my house and sit in my living room and listen to the conversations I have with these intelligent people. No bubblegum shit. The thing I like the most about it is when it hits you, just it takes a little bit of blood and you hit the finger, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt really, right? If you have something to bring to the table, if you know something that we don't, come check us, because we want to know. We want to learn from you. I'm diabetic.
The word diabetes means I pee a lot in Greek. So he was
in Greek.
In Greek. That's what the word.
That's what it means?
Yeah.
Type 1 diabetic for 34 years.
Oh, so you're like me. You're OG diabetic.
I am OG diabetic.
I mean, I want to introduce an awareness. Whatever misconceptions there are about diabetes, it's kind of presented in a corny way. Like only corny people get it. And I'm living testimony that that's completely untrue. And what's your A1?
6'4".
A 6'4"?
6'4".
God damn. Health is wealth.
Don't do anything crazy, because if you haven't stretched all the way out, you could be a little stiff.
My goal is to break the stigma of diabetes, and that's why you're gonna see all kinds of guests. You're gonna see movie stars, composers, fashion designers, entrepreneurs, forward thinkers, doctors, information. You're gonna see actors. Brian White, key area, Schroeder. Someone I've grown to like despite the fact that he's kind of racist, Nick Totoro. You ever been on a date with a couple?
Well, now I am.
You feel it? You're gonna be able to apply and you're gonna be able to help other people. If you love a diabetic, if you are a diabetic, you're gonna wanna listen to what's being said here.
The patients aren't the problem. I talk to docs all the time. They don't have enough time to listen to their patients.
I'm not a doctor, but I could dress like one.
You look great.
You're evolving right now. If you want to learn more about being a diabetic and being cool while you're diabetic and the lifestyle of a diabetic, check out the Dash Diabetes Network. Holla back.
Woo! That's hot.
Thank you. So are you on the?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, having lived with this disease my whole life, I am almost beyond words because I'm sitting here watching my dreams be fulfilled and experiencing from a physical perspective longevity that I did not expect. Shortly before I started using the Afrezza, I was concerned about my mortality because there's something that people with diabetes live with and often don't mention. It's called diabetes burnout. Taking care of yourself and all the things that you have to do to try to be well. And I was trying everything and doing everything. And I was educating my patients in everyone's A1C. I was getting them to target from 13, from 20. I was getting these people to target, and I couldn't get myself to target. And I was wondering, how much longer do I have here? Because I'm tired of it. But I don't want to tell people because I'm a diabetes educator. And I model how you're well with diabetes. I've been on the Afrezza a little over a month. And I got my life back. Woo. I honestly did not know how I was going to keep going. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching history being made. This is unprecedented, and it's going to shift the whole paradigm of healthcare. So what if there's initial resistance and skepticism? That's going to occur with reversed. Filming that show with Charles demonstrated to me that you cannot script real-life experiences. And if anyone is skeptical, I invite them to watch that show because I'll tell you what, they are going to see real people. We could not have scripted what occurred. And then the blessing of it all is that not only did it help the people on the show, it helped all of us. I made some significant lifestyle changes after participating in that show. Know that you guys have invested in humanity, hence the name MannKind. It is so apropos. You're kind. I met people in the company for the first time last night. You're some of the brightest, compassionate, kindest people I've ever met. And then I'm sitting next to you, finding out that the dream for so many of my patients is coming true. People with diabetes often get accused of being apathetic and lazy. We don't want to do what we need to do, and everything is our fault, okay? But like we talk about unlimited strips, I never thought I would have heard about that in my lifetime.
Yeah, dollar strippers.
Because it's a barrier to care. It's a barrier to wellness. Inhalable insulin. Yeah, I heard about Afrezza as a diabetes educator, but that was a few years back, and they were concerned about FDA stuff. And it was, in my judgment, from a provider perspective, deliberately put aside. But now, we're sitting here, and we're changing healthcare. It's about prevention. It's about improving outcomes. It's about thinking outside of the box and making people's lives who are so difficult to manage easy to manage. So I applaud all of you. I cannot tell you all what this experience and being here is doing for me. Just know, if you don't know anyone else, know that there's one person whose life you probably saved. And I mean that, and I have no shame in admitting that. So, Damon, I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Because people are dying on a daily basis, unnecessarily because of diabetes. And my position is I don't want to be a wasted resource. I don't care what I have to do, but I want everybody to know. And to come here and be with you guys and be with all of you, I feel like I'm in heaven because I didn't know you all existed. I thought I was the lone fighter for diabetes. But I cannot express my gratitude, and all of you should feel so good about yourselves because you're in your jobs because you care about human beings. It's not about money. It's about saving lives. And it's about understanding that we're all human and we're all valuable. So thank you very much.
Anything you want to cover? Wrap it up? Yeah. So everyone here has moved to Afrezza, right? You're type 2, so you haven't hit it yet. But type 2 could use it, though. All right, so Jeff, how long have you been using Afrezza?
I tried it a couple months ago, and then I got a full script like 6 weeks ago. And I have to say, you know, I take a big, flexible basal insulin at night, one big dose, and
How big? Pause.
I'm on 27 units of Tresiba, Toujeo, or
I take
Lantus.
38.
Okay, so not.
Yeah,
but,
I take more
there you
Tresiba
go.
than you.
Boom.
Okay.
Boom.
I'm doing something more than he is finally. You know what I mean? I take more Tresiba.
And I eat relatively low carb, so I'll just say, like, I don't eat a lot of carbs.
J.O.
So I don't really need insulin during the day at all because I take a big, flexible basal dose at night, unless I eat carbs. And so, timing a Novolog or a Humalog or one of the other bolus insulins to get it right for what you're eating, whether it's fat or protein or straight sugar and carbs, like just getting it right is always the challenge. And so I started using Afrezza, and it's like as soon as I see my blood sugar start to tick up because I test a lot, I take a hit on the Afrezza, and it just flat. Your blood sugar flatlines. I've never seen as fast-acting and powerful and simple to use insulin product. And again, I try it all. I'm experimenting on myself all the time. And that's for me, the secret was big basal dose and, Afrezza during the day, and I'm set. No injections during the day, no weight gain because of insulin, So now I'm, trimming down a little bit, and I'm not injecting myself during the day, and I've got a fast-acting insulin that hits the carbs when it's hitting me, and it's out of my body in 90 minutes. And I feel great about it. I can stack it, I can extend it, it's very flexible for me. And so it's kind of been revolutionary for me to think about insulin in this new form because of the speed at which it acts, because of the speed at which it gets out of my body, and because of the form in which I can take it. And it's really a revolutionary product for me, and I'm super excited about it. I can see why all those Afrezza maniacs on Twitter or whatever. I don't know if you guys see those. There's these Afrezza maniacs on Twitter that are constantly promoting the product. You can see why. So anyway, thank you.
All right. It's a 5.681. You'd like to?
I've experimented myself on Afrezza because I noticed it's metabolized in my body differently than a liquid insulin. My A1C had got as high as about 9.1. Now I'm about 8.2 in a month. That's significant. I'm gonna be like you guys. And I am also gonna be an Afrezza maniac or whatever I want everyone to know. I told the lady in the bank who had, her father had 15 siblings. They all died of diabetes and poor outcomes. I told her about the show. I told her about Afrezza. She said she was gonna ask her doctor about it. We know word of mouth is one of the most powerful pieces we have. Now we have modern technology with television shows and docuseries and
social media
and amazing products. That's why I say right now, I feel like I wish I could freeze this moment in time because I know I'm in the middle of history being made. This is going to be in textbooks. I promise you. Down the road.
I promise you. I promise you.
Yes, because as time progresses, when major things occur in the sequence of history, like what's happening right now, it will be documented. So I applaud y'all for the courage, the perseverance, the kindness, and the humanity. I can't thank you all enough.
And real quick, not to sound redundant, but you know, my experience with the Frez has been nothing but positive. I think the innovation is how fast it works. So what you have to understand, because I'm sure a lot of y'all aren't diabetic, is through the needle, it takes about an hour and a half for it to even hit your blood, at least for me. So that means if I'm looking at my blood sugar and it's 300 and I give myself a shot, it won't even start to affect it for an hour and a half. And when it does, after an hour and a half, and I may see that it still hasn't gone down so much, I might give myself another shot. So what happens is by the time the insulin kicks in, there's no food in my body and I end up with a ridiculous low. So it's hard. It's almost like throwing up a Hail Mary with the needle at all times. It's just like you're just happy to have insulin in your body and figure it out. And what I consider myself is the average diabetic, which is imperfect. You know, he's perfect. He's 5-something, you know, and he must be a little OCD. It has to be.
I'm a little OCD.
And mostly every time I go to a diabetes convention, everyone there is OCD. So that's why they're there at a diabetes convention. But when you go into a regular world, most diabetics aren't so conscious. They don't want to take needles in public. And usually they're walking around like a 12 and an 11, and they have no understanding of the education of diabetes. But the bottom line is this. The innovation to me is that it works so fast. So if I was at a 300 and I take an Afrezza, you know, and I take this, the right dose, in about a half hour, all of a sudden you can see it on the Dexcom. It just goes right down, quick. I was in a diabetes sort of a function the other day with Mike and what's the kid's name? Nick Jonas, right? Yeah. So he's a type 1, and there was a couple other strong type 1s there. And you know, my blood sugar was at a 200. And I was like, yo, watch this. Boom, hit myself. And in 15 minutes to 20 minutes, I'm like 130. That was amazing to a diabetic. So that's my experience with Afrezza. It's changed my blood sugar, it's changed my life. It's made it really easy to control. I love being the underdog. It's a better win. And when you know you're gonna win and you're the underdog, it really makes you confident. And I would think that everyone in this room should be really confident because you have a winner. And you know, anything that happens kind of fast is usually temporary in my experience. So, you know, it's gonna take a minute probably for the world to change. It always does. People are slow. It's definitely hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I tend to try to concentrate more on the younger generation because they're gonna be here longer and they're more open to change. A lot of old school diabetics are very stubborn. Pardon? And doctors. Oh, doctors are worse.
Oh my God.
Because it takes effort. See, with diabetes, you have to make that effort. When you don't have it and you're advising and you're a doctor, you don't have to. You know, when you're on a plane, the pilot, you generally trust him because if it goes down crashing, he's going down too. But the doctor being the pilot that's not diabetic, the plane goes down, you're just the only one on it.
That's right.
So you can't really trust the advice so much or the emotion that comes with it.
Right.
And as a diabetic, all you want to do is share information because you look at people as a reflection of yourself. If you see somebody else winning, it gives you more of a chance to win. So what I think the appropriate thing to do, and what makes more sense, anyone I know that's taken the Afrezza has nothing but like really emotional testimony because it's life-changing. That's confidence in the future, you know. I usually see things first as far as artists and things like this. The fact that I saw this first, I know it's going to win. There's no way it doesn't. I'd put all my money on it, to be honest. Just because as a consumer, it works. You understand? There's no question about that. So with that said, I wanted to end this. Is there anything that you want to say, Mike?
I'll say some closing words, but thank you guys.
Say some closing words and, you know.
You guys can down.
Oh, you can't share the stage?
Not with you. Yeah, you guys are good. First and foremost, thank you, all of you, for sharing your personal journey, your personal story. You know, I think Damon's correct, and Jeff, when he said, you know, I first took this job, I was getting yelled at by a lot of the bloggers saying, you got to stop paying those people on Twitter and online. And I said, I don't know what you're saying. We've never paid anybody a dime to post one comment. And, you know, when I took the job, it becomes addictive, right? The drug becomes addictive. And so it's good as a drug manufacturer to find drugs that people like because they're going to want to take them. They're going to want to be compliant. They're going to want better health. And they're going to tell other people about that health. So all things take time. I think we've been through a journey together as shareholders, as employees, as patients, and I really am proud of the moment we're in today, because I really do believe the last few weeks you've seen the prescription start to turn. You've seen our cartridges hit new highs in terms of what we're shipping each week, and this Friday I would expect another positive week. So, you know, I think we're in that turbulent zone and getting off the runway, and there'll be some bounces as we go over the next few weeks, but I think we're finally getting to the place where our field force is in place, they're executing, they're getting momentum, they're really doing what they need to do. The medical team is kicking things off. The marketing team is filming the commercial. Literally, half of them aren't here today because they're out there filming in LA, the commercial that all of you have been asking for. And you know, the team's really going in the right direction. And I want to thank everyone here at MannKind for all they're doing. And I want to thank all of you for again, coming here today and listening to us. But hopefully you leave here a little bit more confident about what we're doing and where we're going. And you can see how I'm trying to integrate all the wonderful things that are happening to make it a seamless experience for a patient. So thank you, everyone, for all your time. And Damon, I was going to stay for some questions, but that'll be the meeting. Thank you.